Mahatma Gandhi used passive resistance against the British so that India could have independence. The actions that Mahatma Gandhi took to help India gain their independence were passive resistant protests against British rule in the mid-1900s. This impacted India through political, economical, and intellectual changes. Political changes such as Britain no longer having rule over India. It impacted India because when India gained independence, they had to choose and create a new government. With economical changes such as India becoming a richer country. Before their independence, Britain had been taking money from India's citizens. Since India gained their independence, they can control how they spend their money. With intellectual changes such as Gandhi inspiring people with passive resistant ideas. The changes of conflict and compromise still echo today through Mahatma Gandhi teaching society today by not needing violence to get what one wants, and leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. taking the idea of passive resistance. In India, there were many events that led up and that were happening during Mahatma Gandhi's lifetime. In 1905, the British government divided Bengal into two separate Hindu and Muslim sections because they could not get along. M.K. Gandhi was 19 when he left for London to go to college and study law. He went back to India and opened up a law firm. It did not do well, so he worked in South Africa. He said, "I ask you to believe me when I tell you that my cooperation was not based on the fear of the punishments provided by your laws or any other selfish motives. It is free and voluntary cooperation based on the belief that the sum total of the British government was for the benefit of India." Gandhi experienced discrimination from being in the courtroom to riding trains. Riding trains. A European man threw Gandhi out of first class and beat him. That is when Gandhi had the idea to pursue passive resistance. Gandhi did not want to make any conflict, so that is why he used passive resistance, which is nonviolent opposition to authority, especially a refusal to cooperate with legal requirements. Many countries gained their independence by fighting their way out of being tethered to a larger country, including the United States of America. The United States of America gained independence from Britain by fighting and having a war. But Gandhi didn't have to do the violence because of his ideas that are all from the larger idea of passive resistance. Taranaf Das, in 1921, said, "Under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi with his gospel of Satyagraha, Swaraj, and non-cooperation without violence." Satyagraha stands for the ideal of being steadfast to the truth and righteousness without fear of any consequences. Swaraj stands for self-rule or human freedom, social, political, and economic. Non-violent, non-cooperation against the government to paralyze it, and cooperation against the people to build a state are the means by which Gandhi seeks to bring about a revolution in India. A political example is when Mohandas Gandhi led his most famous protest called the Salt March. India was controlled under Britain at the time, and the British made a tax on salt. Indians couldn't make salt or buy it from other Indian citizens. They had to buy it from the British, which was much more money. The Indians used salt for a number of things. It is a necessity. The poorer Indian citizens were most affected by the extra money being spent. Mahatma Gandhi led a group of other Indian citizens to the Arabian Sea. The citizens and Gandhi collected salt from seawater, defying Britain's newest law without doing anything vicious. Governor of Bombay in 1930 said, "This morning, accompanied by about 2,000 persons, Gandhi bathed in the sea. Afterwards, he and his party picked up pieces of salt near his house, declaring the salt law broken. Later, batches of 5 or 6 fetch seawater, which it is understood to be boiled in a larger sugar boiling receptacles at his camp. An economical example is India's supply of money. Britain was taxing India to pay for what they wanted. The poorer Indian citizens were affected greatly. They couldn't keep up with the taxes. Gandhi was born into a wealthy family and was one of the higher Indian classes. When Gandhi was young, he didn't need to worry about those problems. When he aged, these problems affected him too. M.K. Gandhi felt for the poorer citizens and wanted to help, but of course he did it with passive resistance. He used protests and civil disobedience. An intellectual example is when other people get inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. Passive resistance seemed to work for Gandhi and India. India gained independence on August 15, 1947. It all happened with passive resistance and no violence. Soon after, Nathuram Godse assassinated Mahatma Gandhi on January 30, 1948. It happened less than a year after India gained their independence. Millions of people went to India to live in a new country. Rosen says, Sikh refugees from the Pakistani side of the Punjab. Researchers estimate that over 5 million people, most of them Hindus and Sikhs, migrated from Pakistan to India in the years immediately following partition. In August 15, 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru is India's new and first Prime Minister. In 1948, the British soldiers finally left India for Britain back home. Leaders have taken ideas to use passive resistance to win a point. Minister Martin Luther King Jr. was very inspired by Gandhi's ways of winning during the civil rights movement. King says, India's Gandhi was the guiding light of our technique of nonviolent social change. So as soon as our victory over best segregation was won, some of my friends said, Why don't you go to India and see for yourself what the Mahatma, whom you so admire, has wrought? He fought his way through the other leaders, like the former American President Barack Obama was inspired by his ideas too. In 2009, a small child asked Obama who he was most inspired by. Obama said, You know, I think that it might be Gandhi, who is a real hero of mine. Mahatma Gandhi is still alive in history today. The Gandhi Peace Prize is a tribute to the ideals espoused by Gandhi. The government of India launched the International Gandhi Peace Prize in 1955 on the occasion of the 125th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. The first person to revive the Gandhi Peace Prize was Julius Nyerere. He won it in 1955 when it was first established. Gandhi Jayanti is an Indian holiday where the Indians celebrate M.K. Gandhi. They have a festival celebrating him too. It is held on October 2nd, which is the day he was born.